especially as an entrepreneur. It's rarely so easy when faced with a decision, a new opportunity, any kind of decision in your business. It is, it's rare that it's as simple as a yes or no. And thank goodness, right? We want to make sure there's other opportunities. So consider all the little rainbow fruit flavor opportunities in between straight yes, straight no. Think about that for a second. I am so glad that you are here. It is that time again. So grab your legend pack, crank those figures to 11. Welcome to Legend. I want to talk to you about three questions because those three questions change depending on where you are in your business and the context in which you ask yourself those three questions can unlock your legend status. I know when I first started my business and when I was working with people who were launching new businesses, whether it was a brand new startup or it was their second or third or fourth new business, we started with questions. And I jokingly said, you get to decide who and when and how much. Like you are so in charge of that. And those of you who are my 80s people will understand that reference. But you decide who you want to work with. You get to decide when you're available, when you will work with them. And you get to decide how much you're going to charge, right? But as you move further in business, it becomes more complicated than that. It's not just, well, these are my people and this is what I want to offer. And I work from 9 to 5, or I work from 9 to 2, or whatever those are. It becomes a little bit more involved than that, especially when we are looking at new opportunities, new courses, new places to speak, new audience. If once we have developed relationships with our current audience, how do we branch into a new one? Do we branch into a new one? So consider asking yourself, especially as you're right around that 100,000, 150,000 mark, ask yourself three questions when a new opportunity comes around. Is it a good idea? Just in general, is it a good idea? Is it a good idea for you? Is it a good idea for you right now? Now, when you're headed around that new six figures or headed just up to six figures or just over the top of that, asking yourself if this is a really good idea can be something from, wow, should I be a speaker? Should I write a book? Should I join this mastermind? Should I be a part of this network? Should I launch this new course? Should I do a group program? Should I stick with one-on-one? I mean, there's so many opportunities. And I know, my friend, when you have one question, the second you answer it, it almost always leads to 27 others. But start with three because it's not just should I do this or should I not, right? That's a lot of pressure on two basic questions, yes or no. And it feels so definite. It feels so, well, if I say no, then I never get to revisit this. So instead, ask yourself, is it a good idea? Should I actually try to train passenger pigeons and carrier pigeons to take my message far and wide? Or is that not really a good idea? Is it a good idea for you? I know billboards can reach the masses. And if you get one of those great big billboards up along the freeway, I know a lot of people can see me. But is that really the best thing for my business? Is it a good idea for you right now? Is it your next best step? The really cool thing about this, my friend, is that if it can be a really great idea, but maybe now is not the time. Maybe it's October and this isn't the time you want to jump into launching a whole series of products, an entire branded suite of offerings. Maybe it is. Maybe writing a new book is this is the perfect time for you. But it gives you so much more flexibility and it keeps you away from that black and white, yes, no, either or nonsense that can lead us to feeling really stuck. It's easier decision of, well, it could be a really great idea, but now's not the time. Now, as you're moving more into the 500,000, into the million, this is where the context really starts making a difference because, like I said, those three questions, where you are in your business, will determine what three questions you're asking yourself. And the context is what can open your legend status. As you're moving into the 500, 750, even $1 million mark, is it a good idea? Okay, is it a good idea in what way? Is it going to build my business? Is it going to change the impact that I get to make? Is it going to affect my audience? How is it going to affect my team? Is this a good idea for my team? So that moves into, is it a good idea? Is it a good idea for you? You comes with all, you is not just you. You is you and your team. You is you and your team and your colleagues and your joint venture partners and the people in your masterminds and your clientele. Is this a good idea for you at the $1 million mark? Includes a lot more people. And that's part of what makes you legend. Is it a good idea for them? Is this going to move them forward with their dreams, their ambitions? Is this going to move them forward in their lives, in their business? It's not just, again, like, if you're at the $100,000 mark or 125,000, it's, is this a good idea? Could be, will this make me money? Will this increase my visibility? And at that $1 million range, it's, will this increase my visibility with my right people? Will this make the impact that I really want? And will this help my team change their lives and move forward? And then, is this a good idea for me right now? Is this something that for the team, for your people, for your colleagues and the people on your team, for your audience, is this what they need right now? Is this a good idea for me right now? Includes so much more than just me, myself, and I when you're up at that higher dollar amount. But it still comes back to those three questions. It's not a yes and no. It's yes, no, maybe, when. And that opens up so much more opportunity. So think about that. If you are considering, is it a good idea? The context at $100,000, is it a good idea? Will this increase my bank account? That's still a really big question. Will this get me my first dozen clients? Will this get me my first high-end client? When you're at that $750,000 mark, it's, is this a good idea? Take my will it take my message further? Is this a good idea because it's going to save me so much more time? Instead of working 30 hours in my business, I really will be able to have a system and a process so that I can work 10 to 20 hours, still make my million, and still impact the lives of my team. Context becomes everything, and it really is the difference between, I'm going to make a pile of money, and that's awesome, and I'm going to make a pile of money, but I'm going to do it as legend. I will be remembered. I will impact the lives of those people around me. I get to affect change, not just in the world at large, but in a way that I can follow up in a way that affects the lives of the people closest to me in a way that matters. So it's not just, should I go speak at this event? And I know, especially when you're first getting started, you think, well, do I have something to offer them? Will it increase my visibility? Are they actually my people in the audience? Are they the right people? Will they buy whatever it is I have to offer? And then as you move into that $1 million markets, are the people in the audience the ones who are going to go take what I have and change the lives of thousands of people in their lives? It becomes more of that expansive ripple effect when you get up there. But it's still the same three questions. Is it a good idea? Is it a good idea for you? And is it a good idea for you right now? Being able to shelf something, being able to, not in this moment, not with this team, not with this product, it still leaves all that opportunity for something coming up later. And it's amazing. So ask yourself the three questions. And until I get to see you in person, stay safe and rock on.